I didn't pay a single cent for these VR glasses, or for these backpacks, or for the $800 LED light I'm using to film this video. And I know you might be thinking, well, Ryan, sure, that works for you, but you've got a huge audience. But actually, I got my first ever sponsorship with less than 200 subscribers. And later on, I used the same strategies we're going to cover inside this video to land over $25,000 in sponsorships for a single project. And that project was in a brand new niche where I had zero portfolio and no track record whatsoever. Since then, I've gone on full-time as a creator. I've traveled the world. I've gotten to have some amazing experiences in some of the most epic places on the planet. And here's the thing, you can do this too. Even if you're just starting out, you've got no audience, and the only camera you have is the cell phone in your pocket. Now, it's estimated that content creators got paid a whopping $32.26 billion in 2024. And that number is expected to grow to almost $120 billion in the next 5 years. So if you have a passion for creating content, this video is going to show you everything you need to know to get sponsored for pretty much anything. It breaks down the exact strategies I've used and taught to other creators to land consistent paid brand deals, even with tiny audiences. Like my buddy Steve, who landed a licensing deal with Rivian after just a couple posts. We're going to cover how to find the right brands, get their contact info, pitch with confidence, price your work, lock in deliverables, avoid bad contracts, and everything you need to know to go from pitch to paycheck. But first, you've got to understand something that until you get this one key thing, you're never going to succeed. And it's the reason most creators never land any brand deals at all. You see, they think they're selling content or likes or views or whatever, but that's not what brands actually want. So let's start there with what brands are really buying and what they look for when they hire a creator. So let's pretend you're a marketing manager. Now, on the one hand, you've got your brand, and your brand has products that they want to sell. And so to sell those products, they need to get that product in front of customers. And so your job as the marketing manager is to get your products in front of as many customers as possible, as cheaply as possible, and as quickly as possible. And that is where the creator comes in, which is you. And so what do? Well, you create some content, and that content gets seen by the customers who love the product, love the content, they get a ton of value, and they buy. And so the mistake 90% of creators make is that they make all the focus about the content when it's not really the content that the brand is buying anyways. You don't sell content, you sell outcomes. That's what the brand is coming to you for. They're coming to you for this. They're coming to you for new customers, new eyeballs, and more sales. And so when a marketing manager looks at your pitch, they're going to be thinking about this word right here, outcomes. They're looking at what is the potential size of that outcome? What is the certainty that I will actually get this outcome? How likely is it? And what is the cost? How much does the creator actually want me to pay them? Okay? What they don't care about is whether you are filming this on a $1 million camera rig or whether it's just a simple TikTok video. As long as the outcome is the same, the brand really doesn't care. They're getting the same amount of value. And that's why creators who understand this principle have such an edge. Whether you have 0 followers or 100,000 subscribers, it does not matter. As long as you can drive outcomes to the brand, they will pay you. So now that we understand this most fundamental principle, let's get into actually how to get sponsors step by step. So getting sponsors really only comes down to 3 key stages. And the first stage is all about actually showing the brand that you can drive an outcome, that you're worth paying or worth giving products to. So our first stage is called proof. Proof that we can actually create outcomes for the brand. And so what we want is to actually gather data. We want to create a case study. We want to have a portfolio that says, hey, look at this dream outcome. And we show the brand their desired result, which is new customers, lots of eyeballs. And there's really only 2 things that a brand hires a creator for. They either want content that will generate awareness, or they want content that will generate conversions. So awareness is eyeballs, new people learning about their products. And conversion is, well, the actual sale. And so the kind of proof that we want to generate is proof that shows we can generate awareness. And when it comes to showing proof to brands, there's 2 things that we want to work on. The first is the quality, and the second is our quantity. So let me give you an example of this. Let's say I'm trying to sell you a teeth whitening kit. The most powerful proof is going to be a combination of speed, size of results, and relevance to you. So if I were to demo this product to you live and I had this strip and I put it on my teeth and you saw that in 10 seconds my teeth went from yellow to absolutely dazzling white, that would be an example of extreme speed. The size would be just how well it worked, right? So if my teeth went from really yellow to really white, well then that's going to be a much more desirable result than if it was just a subtle change. And relevance is about providing proof that answers the question, will this work for me. So you don't really care about whether the teeth whitening product works for somebody else. You want to know, will it work for me if I put it on my teeth? So for example, if you're a balding man in his 50s who is trying to buy an anti-dandruff shampoo, and you see an ad with a balding man in his 50s who is using a product to get rid of his dandruff, that is going to be very, very relevant proof to you. Whereas if you saw the same ad for the same product, but it was an Asian girl in her 20s, it's not going to have the same impact. So that's what goes into creating quality proof. How fast can I create results? What size are the results? And how relevant is the result to the brand that I am showing this proof to? So for example, if you're pitching a backpack brand, you don't want to show them a bunch of projects that you did for software companies. You want to show them projects you did for other backpack companies, right? Or at least other clothing or textile companies or companies with the same audience. You want to make sure that the proof you create is highly relevant to the brands you want to land. Okay? And then the second is the quantity of the proof. Is it a one-off, or do we have a dozen examples of brands we've helped in the past and results we've generated? If we have quality and we have quantity, we're going to have so much more success when we actually reach out and start pitching. So at this point, you might be saying, well, that sounds good, Ryan, but I don't actually have an audience. How am I going to generate this proof? How does all that work? What do I do if I have no audience? Okay, so first off, there are two different ways brands can get your content in front of people. One, they can get you to post it. Two, they can pay Zuckerberg, and they can get it in front of people with Instagram ads, with Facebook ads, or they can just post it to their own platform. So whether you have an audience or not, that doesn't mean that you're disqualified from being able to create valuable content for brands. And it's never been easier as a small creator, even if you have 0 followers. If you're doing the right things when it comes to creating content that provides value to the audience, that has a genuine problem and you help them solve it, it has never been easier to actually get in front of thousands of people. And while some big brands only want to work with creators who can get them millions of views, the truth is there are thousands and thousands of brands out there who, for them, if they could get in front of 1,000 potential customers, that's a pretty big deal. Why? Why would that be worth it to them when some brands it's only worth it if they have 1 million followers? Why is that? Well, it could be because they have a very expensive product. So if they can get their super expensive private yacht in front of just 1,000 potential customers who truly care about yachts and are looking to buy, well, they might make $1 million off of one sale. So they don't need a ton of views to create a ton of value. Whereas for some products, like say you've got a t-shirt company, that t-shirt might cost $5. And so in order for the brand to actually break even on, say, a $5,000 sponsorship, they need to sell 1,000 shirts, which means they need to have a ton of eyeballs on that product in order to actually break even, let alone make a profit from the content creator. So the brands that you pitch and the proof that you want to create, you want to focus on, if you're a smaller creator, brands who have expensive products, brands who have what's called a high LTV, a lifetime customer value. So if a single customer to a brand is worth $10,000 and you can bring them one new customer, that collab is worth $10,000 or maybe more. Whereas if you're pitching t-shirt companies, it's going to be a harder pitch to that t-shirt company to prove the ROI. You can still do it and they'll definitely send you free stuff, but getting them to actually pay is going to be a little bit more tricky. So you want to pick products that have a high price point, and then you want to create some content that promotes that product. And here's the real key, is we don't just want to create the content and post it and then send the brand a pitch that says, hey, I got like 20 views and 13 likes on this post. What you want to do is you want to actually gather data. That's very key. We want to be able to say, hey, I posted this video, it gathered this many clicks, this many likes, this many sales, and here was the actual outcome that resulted, right? Because that's what the brand cares about more than anything is, okay, you might have got a lot of likes, you might have got a lot of views, but did they actually result in sales? Yes or no? Okay? How do you do that, especially when you're not working with brands yet? Well, the easy and coolest tactic for this is with affiliate links. So most companies either have their products on Amazon or they have their own affiliate partnership. And so when you sign up for Amazon affiliates or for one of these affiliate programs, you're going to get a link / an ID, and it will track every click that happens and every sale. And the best part about this is, even as a creator with 0 audience, if you create a piece of content, and let's say it gets 10,000 views, and that 10,000 views results in 10 sales, and you get paid $50 per sale, well, you've made $500 by doing something for free. And some of my best paying brand deals have actually been exactly this. A couple of years ago, I created a product review for this backpack company, and I made that product review video for free. I didn't get paid a dime, but I had an affiliate link in there. And because of that affiliate link, I went on to generate almost $5,000 in affiliate commissions over the next couple of years. And so I effectively got paid $5,000 to review that backpack, and now I have an amazing piece of proof. And so now I can send that piece of proof to any brand I want and say, hey, look at these results I generated. How about doing something like that for you. How much more compelling is that than just reaching out and saying, hey, I love your stuff, can I have some for free? So once you've got your proof, the next stage is the pitch. How do we pitch? Who do we pitch? What do we pitch? How much do we charge? Let's talk about that now. So there's really just two stages to pitching. There's the research phase and there is the writing phase. And so first off, we need to research our brands before we start pitching. And the first step is going to make an actual list of brands. So you take the proof that you've generated, you take the portfolio, what's already in your wheelhouse, and you want to reach out to brands that align with that proof. Brands who say, oh, if he did it for them, he could probably do it for us. Now, what do you do if you don't have any proof yet? Well, first off, you can go out and create some affiliate content like we just covered. But I want to show you one little strategy that I used to land $25,000 in sponsorships in a brand new niche, knowing nothing, having no portfolio, and basically zero credibility. How did I do that? It's with a concept I call authority jacking. So what I did for this project is I had a vision of going to Banff and actually filming this amazing outdoor campaign. The only problem was I had never actually shot for outdoor brands before. I had zero portfolio, I had zero following, and I really didn't know what I was doing. So what did I do? I reached out to other creators with my vision, with my project idea, and I said, hey, is there any chance that you'd be interested in this? And all of these creators I reached out to, they had the portfolio, they had done the work before. And so I was able to basically take their authority, put it underneath my umbrella, and then start pitching brands saying, hey, I've assembled this amazing team for this incredible concept. Do you want to be a part of it? So that's a strategy you can use if you don't have the proof, you don't have the credibility, and you want to kickstart your results. Network with other creators. Reach out with a concept, do the legwork and the heavy lifting of pitching the brands and organizing the details, and that's how you can build a basic portfolio with some brands who would be really hard to get otherwise. And so once you have your concept and you have your team on board and you have some measure of proof or credibility, then you start making a list of brands that align with that concept that you've generated. And where possible, you want to aim for brands who have high ticket products because it's going to be way easier to generate a return for them. Now, if you're just looking for free stuff, this isn't as important, right? If you want a free $5 t-shirt or a free $100 pair of shoes, you don't have to go for just expensive brands here. You can still get them to send you free product. But if you want to get paid, you want to actually charge for your work, this is the method that is going to be easier, especially as you're starting out as a creator. Now, once you've got your list, the next thing we need to do is actually find the contacts. And here's another place that creators screw up because what they're doing is they'll send DMs to brands on Instagram. And the problem is that is not the person who is in charge of actually hiring creators and overseeing content campaigns. They do not have budget decision-making power most of the time. The other thing that they'll do is they'll send generic emails to info@thatcompany.com or PR@thiscompany.com. And those sort of emails tend to, again, just go directly into the spam box. We want to find the key contacts at each of these companies. So who are these key contacts? Well, the key contacts are the people at the brands who actually have decision-making power and are in charge of the content and the marketing strategies for the brand. So, depending on the size of the brand, you're going to look for specific job titles. If it's a very large brand, chances are they have specific people who are in charge of literally just influencer marketing, and if they're a really big company, influencer marketing in a specific area. So you'll probably have a director of influencer marketing for Nike just in America, and another one in the UK, and another one in Germany. Whereas for a smaller company that's maybe got 20 or 30 employees, probably they just have a director of marketing, or maybe a director of social media, and that's it. That's the person you're looking for. And now, depending on the size of the company, you're going to change your search. And to make this easier, I've actually created a cheat sheet along with all the notes from this presentation, and so if you comment, give me the guide in the comments below. I'll send that link over to you and you can reference this and use that list of job titles to find the right contact at the right company. So once you know what job title you're looking for, how do we actually find the person at the company? Well, there's two different methods I'm going to give you. The first is hunter.io. So you can go to hunter.io, set up a free account, and I think you get like 30 free searches per month. And what you're going to do is you're going to enter the company name or the company website, and it will give you a list of all of the job titles that they've been able to find and the emails attached to them, which is very, very cool. And if it comes up with hundreds of results, you can actually sort it by category and narrow it down to specific marketing titles at that company. So that's the first method. The second method would be to actually just go into Google and search for company name, job title, LinkedIn. And most of the time you're going to find you get a bunch of LinkedIn profile results for different people at the company who have similar roles to what you've just searched for. So by doing these two methods, mixing and matching and using some other free tools, we can find the person's contact info very easily. And if you find multiple people at the company who both look like a fit, feel free to reach out to both of them. Honestly, they are not going to mind. This is literally their job to search and work with creators. So send them both a message and just see who gets back to you. Now, once you know who to contact and how to contact them, there's one more key step before we actually write our pitch. And that last step is actually researching their current content. We want to go onto their Instagram or onto their TikTok or onto their YouTube, whatever platforms they're already on, and we just see what they're up to. What new initiatives are they talking about? What new products have they launched? What content are they creating right now and already spending money on? Because if they're already spending money on it, it means that this is a priority for them, right? If you're reaching out to a protein powder brand and they've got a bunch of recipes about how you can make cookies and milkshakes and all these baked ingredients with their protein powders, well, then you can reach out and pitch creating more content around that idea. If you're researching a camera company and you see they've just released a brand new camera, well, you can be pretty sure they're going to be looking for content that actually showcases the performance and the testing of that camera. So we want to do some research around what they're already posting on, what they're already spending money on, or what they're up to as a company, what new products and services and initiatives they're currently working on right now. And once we do that, then you're ready to write your pitch. The way you write your pitch and what you say can make all the difference in whether a brand hits reply or just puts you directly into the junk box. So here's a framework that you can use when you're writing your pitches. This is the ACA framework that stands for Align, Concept, and Ask. There's just 3 things we need to have in every single pitch. When a brand manager opens up your email and they give it a read, the first thing they're looking for is alignment, okay? Now, first off, the brand is thinking about you as a creator. Does your look, does your vibe, does the way you come across, does your content align with what they represent, their aesthetic, their values, all those things? They're checking that box. Do you align with that brand? The next thing they're going to look at is your audience, okay? If you primarily make content for teenage girls and you're reaching out to a brand whose audience is men in their 30s, you're not going to have alignment. Whereas if you have the same audience and you can show the brand, hey, these are the kind of people who would really love to buy your thing, well, then you're going to have much better success. So once we demonstrate alignment, which we'll show you in a couple examples in a second, then we go into the sharing the concept phase. And this is where we're going to outline, okay, here's the project, here's the idea, here's when I can deliver it by, here's why this matters to you. So we're going to create some value first and show that we actually cared enough to invest and think about this brand and how we can help them. It's about providing value before you make your ask. This is very important. If you just send the same spam email to 100 different companies, they can tell. If it was copy-pasted and it was not personalized, they can tell. And brands don't really want to work with creators who don't even bother to look them up, who don't even bother to know what they care about. They're thinking when they're looking for alignment, does this creator actually care about my company? Do they care about my product? Will they represent me well? Will they actually talk about me? And are they already talking about me? So the more proof you can show of this and the more alignment you can demonstrate, the more they're going to care about you and the higher your chances of actually landing a sponsorship. And once we've outlined the concept to the brand, then the next stage is making an ask. And the thing is, most creators are not clear and confident when they're actually pitching brands with what it is that they want the brand to do. Do they want free product? Do they want to get paid? Like, what is it that you're actually asking the brand to do? What is their contribution? What is their commitment in actually moving forward? You want to make sure that that is clear. You don't need to go into all the details here, but you do want to be upfront about, hey, I'm looking to do a collaboration with a backpack brand this quarter. I've got some room on my calendar. I'm wondering if you guys are interested in providing some free product in exchange for a review. Or, if you want to get paid, I'm wondering if you guys have budget and are currently looking for creators to create some extra content for you this quarter. Whatever it is, we want to make sure that we're clear and we're making that ask so the brand knows, okay, this is how we move forward. So when that brand manager opens up your email, they're asking themselves a few questions. There's a checklist in their head, right? They're saying, do we need content right now? Like, do we have all the content we need? Do we need more creators? Or do we already have a roster of creators who we already work with and we're already comfortable with? And then they're going to ask, do we have the budget? Like, what is our budget for the quarter? How much have we spent already? How many free collabs are we doing? Like, all these questions before they even think about you. They're going to say, okay, does this person align with our brand? Do they already use our products? Are they a fan? Do they represent us well? Their vibe, the content they put out there, the portfolio that they've shared with us, and the case studies, okay? And then they're going to look at, does their audience align with the people we want to get in front of? Now, at the very end of this, they're going to say, okay, based on all of this, is this opportunity worth my time? Is it worth hitting the reply button and even responding? So one thing you have to understand as you send these pitches is that it's not always about you. Your pitch might be perfect and you still might not get a response if the brand says, no, we actually have enough content right now. Or no, we already have creators, we're not looking for more. Or no, we've already spent our budget for the quarter, and that's okay. That's why you need to make sure you reach out to multiple brands so that you can have as many chances as possible of actually getting a yes. Okay, so with all that out of the way, let's talk about actually writing your pitch. What do you say? Here's a template you can use. And if you want this template, make sure to comment, give me the guide, and I'll send it right over. First off, hey name, I saw you're the job title over at company. Then you insert a specific compliment. So whether it's a piece of news, they've just released a new product, they've got this update, they've got this new line, they've got this promo going on, they're running this campaign, they've been posting about this thing lately, and you write about how much you love it and find something you honestly like. Put that there. Then you're going to say, I've been sharing content around XYZ with my audience lately. So whatever topic is that they've been recently posting on and focusing on, you're going to want to say, hey, it's so funny. I've been posting about the same thing recently. And this is really key. You can't say this if it's not true. So make sure before you send this pitch that it aligns, right? Otherwise, you want to say something else. I've been posting around and then the topic or whatever it is. And my audience is eating it up. I would love to get, and then you insert the specific product that you're hoping to feature in front of them. Is company looking for any sponsored content this quarter? And then you put a couple of potential ideas. Now this is really important. You want to be specific about what you might be proposing. We can do a day in the life. We could do a back-to-back test. We could talk about the differences between version 1 and version 2 that's relevant to whatever they've got going on right now with their content, with their products, with their company. That's really, really key here. And then you say, could go live in 2 to 3 weeks. And this is actually really important. If you are a brand manager, you are used to having to wait months and just having to pull teeth to get content from creators. They never deliver on time. They're not very professional. It's kind of like herding cats. If you can actually demonstrate that, hey, I'm organized, I'm ready to go, you're going to be so much more likely to actually hear back from the brand. Because if they've got an initiative going on right now or a product launch happening right now, what they need is not content 2 or 3 months from now. What they need is content today or yesterday. So the quicker you can go live, the more likely you'll be to actually get a yes in moving forward. And then I like to end with a question. So I just say thoughts. That prompts a response a lot more than saying, hey, let me know if you're interested. Because if you say, let me know if you're interested, well, then if they're not interested, they don't have to write back. But if you end with a question, well, people are kind of prompted that if someone asks a question, they should answer it. So that's what I like to do. Then at the very end, I say, P.S. audience metrics, and I attach those below if you're so inclined. So this is where you would link to your YouTube channel or your Instagram account or to your TikTok, and you would insert a couple metrics so at a glance they can see the fit, the audience size, and move forward from there. And if you don't have an audience right now, that's totally fine, right? You can just link to your portfolio, or you just leave this out entirely, and if the brand wants it, they'll ask you. And once they ask you for those metrics, you say, you know what? I create content directly for brands so they can post it on their platform, and it's catered to exactly the aesthetic that they want. And then you send through a couple examples. So here's a real pitch that I might send using this template. Let's say I want to reach out to the company Tonal, who produces an at-home workout machine. It's super cool. I would love to try one. So what I can do is look up their website. It's tonal.com, head over to Hunter, and put that into the domain search. Now from here, I'm going to get 100 results of people who work at Tonal. That's too many. What I really want to figure out is the people who are in a certain position or a department. So what I'm looking for is people in the marketing department. We'll apply this filter, and bam, I've got Vice President of Marketing, Director of Marketing, Vice President, Product Marketing, Senior Marketing. I'm not exactly sure who to look for. So let's head over into Google, and let's look for Influencer Marketing, Tonal, LinkedIn. Okay, Meg Douglas, VP of Marketing at Tonal. Okay, Ian Young, Tonal. Okay, and so I can find a couple of different possibilities from there. I can look at their LinkedIn profiles, maybe try searching for their emails, and give that a go. So once I've got their emails, now it's time to actually research and write the pitch, all right? So I've gone to their YouTube channel, and I've looked through it, and I've seen, okay, they've got 24,000 subscribers, but most of their videos are hardly getting any views. So this is an opportunity. If you see a gap and an opportunity for that company to get some good results, that is an amazing way to get your foot in the door and offer a pitch around that idea. Now, if I hop over to their TikTok, I can see kind of the same thing. Like most of their TikToks are hardly getting any views whatsoever. So this is a massive opportunity. I could find some similar brands and some competitors and see what competitors are doing. So I could look up Peloton and I could see what kind of content they're creating because they have a fitness bike that's also an at-home fitness kind of company. And I can see what content does really well and pitch those same sort of ideas to Tonal and say, hey, I noticed Peloton has been really killing it with the recent at-home workout series or the recent at-home lunch series or whatever it is. Are you interested in doing something similar? Here's a couple of ideas. Okay, so I can go through and generate ideas from competitors, generate ideas from what Tonal is posting and what is doing really well on Tonal's page right now, and generate ideas by looking up their website and even their LinkedIn. So I can go onto their LinkedIn, see what they're posting about. I can also see what jobs they're hiring. And if they're looking for somebody in the social marketing sphere, well, I can reach out and say, hey, I saw you were hiring someone to produce social content. What if I did something for you just on a contract basis? And for a company, this is a massive win because then they don't have to hire me. They don't have to do all of the legwork of finding the right person and interviewing the right person. They don't have to commit to a base salary. They don't have to provide benefits. Like, there's so many advantages to hiring you as a creator versus a full-time person on staff. So potentially that might be an opportunity also. And the cool thing about LinkedIn is they're going to suggest other pages people also viewed that are similar to this company. So I could go into Whoop, I could go into Oura Ring, I could look up Peloton, and then I could find these companies, see what they're posting about, and find more opportunities and ideas that I could pitch, okay? After that, I'm going to go into YouTube and just search for Tonal. See what videos are doing the best around this product. I could do the same thing by looking up topics that might be interesting to people considering a Tonal, like best all-at-home workout machines or best all-at-home workouts. And I can find some content based on that. So here's an idea that I thought was really good: how to build muscle at home, science-based workouts. That probably would be a great piece of content for Tonal to post on their website. So I could take a screenshot of this, and I could actually pitch that idea inside of my pitch template. All right. So I've got all of this. Now I've drafted the following message using the template we just went through. Hey, Jenny, I saw you're the head of partnerships over at Team Tonal. I'm a super fan of what you guys are doing. My Tonal has literally changed fitness for me. Having everything so easy and all the auto tracking has helped me progress like 10 times faster in my fitness. So thanks for all your hard work. Anyways, I've been sharing home workout content with my audience lately, and they've been eating it up. And now here, I would post a link to a similar piece of content or to my proof or to my case study, right? So they can actually see I've posted on this, I'm relevant, the content is relevant, the audience is relevant. Is Tonal looking for any sponsored content this quarter? And then I hit them with a couple different ideas. So first off, they released a new platform, the Tonal 2, about 6 months ago. So they might still be interested in product comparisons between the original and the new Tonal. And I'd love to get my hands on a new Tonal. So the first pitch idea is Tonal 1 versus Tonal 2. The next pitch idea is a 30-day challenge, because I thought about, okay, what is their audience mainly asking when they're considering buying a Tonal? That's what Tonal wants to know, is how can we convince people to buy? The question I think people are asking is, hey, can a Tonal replace my gym membership? Does the cost savings make sense? Like, what is the advantages here? I could actually highlight that in a 30-day challenge. And then right in the bottom here, I have my audience demographics, and I've actually created this bio template that any creator can use. They can set up a website in about 30 minutes that looks just like this. Insert your case studies, insert all of your information. If you want to get that, you can find it inside of the creator group that I'll link to in the description, okay? So you can get access to this, or you can just link to your own channels, your own demographics, whatever you want to do. Just make sure you send a link so they can check you out if they're interested. And that's exactly how I would write a real pitch using this template. Now, once you send your pitch, there's a couple things that might happen next, right? Either they respond or they don't respond, right? And if they don't respond, it's simple. You're going to follow up. The next day, you can send a message and say, hey, I totally forgot to attach this case study. I worked with this similar brand. We got these results. Here's a link if you want to check it out. And a week later, you can follow up and say, hey, here's this other case study that I was recently working on. Or, hey, I was noticing you guys were posting about this. How about this idea? And you keep following up until you get a yes or they tell you to go away. And you can follow up in a way that isn't annoying as long as you continue to create value. So you look at company news, what they're up to, what their latest updates are, what new products they're launching, and you say, hey, congrats, hey, this was awesome. You lead with the same framework. You start by building alignment, adding a compliment in there, making sure you hit them with a specific ask and a concept to move forward that is valuable and has a potential outcome in mind. You're going to keep following up. Now, if they respond, they're either going to say yes or they're going to say no. Now, here's what you need to understand. If they say no, it's not a no forever. It's not a no, we hate you. It's just not yet. That's very, very important that you understand, because there's a lot of reasons a brand manager or a brand might say no. They might have just spent their budget for the quarter. Second, they might have a roster of creators they're already working with, and so they don't need you right now. But down the road, once this other creator moves on or this creator's not available, guess who they're going to reach out to? The person who follows up. The third reason they might not answer you is they might just be really busy with a new product launch or a PR nightmare, or the person's just having a bad week, or they're on mat leave. Like, there's a million reasons that might have nothing to do with you or your pitch that might be just no, not yet, or no response. And so if you get a no or a not yet, you just want to make sure you do the same strategy. You follow up. And eventually, the goal is you'll get to this place of yes. Now, if they say yes, we do want to hear more, chances are those 3 concepts that you sent them, neither of those is going to be a perfect fit. They're going to say, yeah, we want to talk. Let's actually get your rates and you can tell us what you're thinking and we can go from there. Now, here's where a lot of creators mess up, because what they do is they just send their rates, and we don't want that. We want to send them on a strategy call. Now, why do we want to do that? First off, if you give them some random numbers you pulled out of the sky, there's a couple things that might happen. Number 1, you're going to go too high. And if you go too high, what's going to happen? Well, you've lost the sale. Congratulations. Second, you might go too low. And if you go too low, you might be leaving thousands on the table. They had a budget for 10 grand, but because you only asked for $500, guess who's laughing? It's not you. So you want to make sure you hop on a strategy call where possible, because you don't want to make this mistake of just randomly naming a number or just assigning a default value to how much you cost for a post or for a reel or for a review. What you want to do is attach your pricing to the outcome that you drive and the potential that the brand can actually make here. And so to do that, we need to discover for ourselves what the brand's working on, what they're prioritizing, what they really want to achieve here. And you can only do that when you actually get on a call and you have a talk with them. So this is going to be a 15-minute discovery call. We hop on the phone, we ask a couple of questions, and then I can figure out kind of some concepts and some pricing that would fit what you guys are trying to achieve. And most brands are going to appreciate this. Now, if you're a really small creator, they might not want to get onto the strategy call. And if that's the case, then you can just ask them, hey, what kind of budget do you have set aside right now? Instead of just giving them a number, you say, what's the typical budget range that you guys have? I can send through some concepts based around those numbers. And they're, again, going to appreciate this. It's not being pushy. It's not being weird. Just asking for a budget is okay. Now, if you can get them on a strategy call, that is the win. So let's talk about what you're going to do once you get on this strategy call, okay? It's really simple. We're calling this the value bridge, okay? So right here is where they are right now. So this is their current state. And then over here on the other side is their desired state. This is where they want to be as a company, the growth they want to achieve, the sales they want this quarter, the revenue goals and targets that their boss has set for them. That's what we want to help them get to. So first we need to know where they are right now and what they're working on to getting towards. And after we have that, then we ask about this middle bit right here. Like, okay, in theory, why are you here right now and not over here? Why are you in this current state and not at the desired state? Like, what's keeping you stuck? It's like if you went into a doctor's office and the doctor, without asking you a single question, started telling you what medications you should be taking and prescribing different exercises and surgeries. You'd be like, whoa, wait a second. You don't even know why I'm here. You don't even know what I want. You don't even know what my goals are or what I'm going through or what my symptoms are, right? You want to be like the doctor and ask questions. Hey, what's going on? Tell me what brought you here. Tell me what you're looking for. Tell me what you're trying to achieve. And once you know that, then you can give it to them. That's the easiest way to sell. Asking questions, hearing what they say. And once you actually hear what they say, we want to listen and we want to repeat. Once the doctor asks you the questions, they say, okay, so it sounds like you've got these symptoms going on. It sounds like this is what you're kind of struggling with here. It sounds like it started around here. Is that right so far? And you're going to say, yeah, that sounds exactly right. He says, oh, perfect. And then the doctor tells you what he recommends. And from there, because you feel like he actually understood you, you are so much more likely to actually say yes to whatever it is he's suggesting, right? We want to do the same thing. Listen to the brand. Ask questions. It's the easiest way to sell. If you can get them talking, just be good at listening and repeat back in their own words what they say. Now, after that, you repeat it back, and they say, yes, that's exactly what we're looking for. We're trying to achieve this. This is kind of getting in the way. We really want content that's going to do this. If we could do these things, that would be a massive win for us as a company. And you say, great, that sounds perfect. I have a good idea of what's going on here. Let me take this, put together a couple of options for your content, and get back to you with some pricing that you can run through with your team. Does that sound good? Then you get off the call, and you get into creating your pitch deck. And so hopefully at this point you can see how many things most creators do wrong because they jump right to this right here. They send the pitch deck without doing any of this initial groundwork and research to figure out what the company actually wants. And so it's no wonder most of your pitch decks don't work out because you're pitching things that the brand has no interest in. But this way, we understand what they want. We understand what they're trying to achieve. We're going to cater this pitch deck exactly to them. So let me give you the recipe to create an incredible pitch deck. And it comes down to 3 basic things, and it's not your graphic design skills. The first thing you need to have in any essential pitch deck is proof, okay? Before they see the price, they need to see the proof. You need to show them the content you've created before, the case studies of the outcomes you've driven in the past, the audience that you've built over time. You want to show all those things that increase the amount of alignment the brand feels and shows them this opportunity is the real deal. The next thing we want to show them is potential. Based on the past content you've created, what is the potential result here if they partner with you and get similar results to that company or that piece of content? And so this is easy to calculate once you have an affiliate link on a piece of content, because you can take the number of clicks and the number of sales, you can multiply that to get the value of that one video. And then you can take that and say, okay, based on your lifetime customer value of around this much, if we got something similar, it might be worth up to this much for you guys. And once you show them that potential, the outcome is giant in their minds. It's like, wow, this is definitely worth considering. So after you've established the proof and you've shown them the potential, then it's time to talk pricing. And you're not going to give them just one option here. You want to give them at least 3 options. Now, why do we want to do this? Because if you give them one option, they can say yes or they can say no. But if you give them 3 options, then they can kind of choose their own adventure. They can be the one who decides how they want to solve their problem. So we're going to create 3 different packages. Package A is going to be your most expensive option. The hell yeah, the long-term option. Okay, so typically, you want it to be long-term because we want to encourage the brand right away to start thinking about us as not just a one-off experiment, but hey, if this goes well, they do 6-month collaborations, they do long-term partnerships. And a brand will appreciate that you're thinking this way because they want to partner with creators who consistently show up, who are easy to work with, who see long-term, because brands don't want somebody who just does a one-off video and doesn't care about the product. And they also recognize the value of building trust with an audience over time versus just a one-off video. Package B is going to be your medium option. All right. And package C is going to be the baby steps. So just getting started option, just a one-off project, and we can talk about longer term later on. Now, most of the time, the brand is going to go for package C. So that just is how it is. When a brand works with a creator for the first time, they want to dabble first. They don't want to invest $100,000 in you. So why do we have package A anyways if a brand's never going to go for it? Well, the reason is we lead with the highest price first, and we make sure this is a large ticket item. So if we have package A be worth $20,000, and package B is worth $10,000, and package C is only $3,500, that seems like a deal. Like, it's way cheaper to go with package C. Totally reasonable. However, if your out of the gate price was just $3,500, that might sound really expensive to a brand if most of the collabs they do are $2,500. So by doing this, we're doing something called anchoring. And we are anchoring our price to a bigger number so that the other number seems a lot more small and a lot more reasonable. It's kind of like when you buy a car. A car costs $50,000, so spending an extra $2,500 to get the heated seats doesn't seem like much money. But if you went into Walmart to shop for frying pans, you wouldn't spend $2,500 on a frying pan no matter how good it was. That's because you're going from 0 to $2,500 versus from $50,000 down to $2,500, okay? Now, after you've got that, we want to make sure that attached to each of these packages, we demonstrate the actual outcome that they were focusing on. So in a perfect world, in your strategy call, you've revealed at least 3 different things that they want to work on. We've got number 1, number 2, and number 3 priorities. Things they're focusing on, things they're working through, content they want to create, platforms they want to showcase their work on. And what we do is in each package, we allow them to select which they want. So option number 1, the most expensive one, will target all 3 of these options. That's package 1. Option 2 might only achieve 2 of these objectives, and package 3 just gets 1. And that's how you create a pitch deck that really gets results. And if you want a template to make this super easy, super customized, super beautiful and impressive, and just show that you are a professional, I've got some of those inside of my creator course. You can sign up. It's super cheap to get access to. And once you have access to all those templates, this whole thing becomes a breeze. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to check it out. If not, no worries. You can create something like this in Canva or even just with text inside of an email. It doesn't have to be super polished, but it does help. Now, once you've got the pitch deck assembled, there's 2 stages we want in terms of actually sending through that proposal. We want to send them the actual document that you've created. And then what I would recommend if you want to supercharge this is you also send a screen share. Because the thing is that there's only so many things and so many words you can insert into a pitch deck. There's some context and some nuance and some communication that's going to be lost that you can only make up for if you're like in person walking through the concept. So that's why I'd recommend using a tool like Loom. You can do this for free. You record your screen and you walk through the pitch deck and you explain why you're proposing certain things, exactly what you're thinking behind this or behind this, and why they should be interested in this particular package. And this is helpful because chances are the brand manager you sat down with isn't the only decision maker who is going to decide whether to move forward or not with the sponsorship. They're going to have a team they have to run this by, whether it's the accounting team or it's their boss or it's the people they work with who decide on how to allocate budget. You need to make sure that you have something to give them to walk them through this proposal. So that's what I'd recommend, both the pitch deck and the Loom. You send those off in an email, you wait to hear back. And after that, hopefully they come back to you with the green light and you're ready to go. So after you get the green light from a brand and they say, we want to move forward on this project, you don't just get started creating the content. There's actually a few stages left that if you do not handle these properly, you're going to be in for a world of pain and hurt, I promise you. So the first stage is we need to actually get agreement in writing of all of the things that are going to happen. We have to have a plan that both parties agree on. So this is going to include things like the deliverables, what exactly you're creating. The timeline, when are you actually going to create it? Licensing, so who owns the footage? Who owns the content? How long can they use it? On which platforms can the brand use it? As well as the actual payment terms. How much are they going to pay you? When are they going to pay you? In what installments are they going to pay you? How are they going to pay you? All those things need to be spelled out and figured out in advance. As well as revisions. When you actually send your content to a brand, I can guarantee you 100% of the time, no matter how much creative freedom the brand gives you, they are going to want to change some things. What revisions are included? What counts as a revision versus a re-edit? How much you're going to charge for additional out-of-scope agreements? Like, all this needs to be outlined, or else when the brand comes back to you, you're going to have nothing to stand on, and they're going to be really angry at you if you just ask for no money, but you didn't outline that in advance. Inside of your contract, there's also a few other things you're going to want to make sure you go through, such as the termination clause. How long is the sponsorship going to last? How much exclusivity is there going to be? And if the brand wants to stop working with you, how does that work? Do they still have to pay you? Don't they have to pay you? You want to make sure that you have something called pro rata written in your contract. So you actually have pro rata payment, which means that you get paid for the work you've already done, even if a brand cancels the contract. So you need to outline that in the agreement and make sure you look at it carefully, as well as exclusivity terms. So brands typically won't want you working for competitors, especially after you've just released a review on their product. So this is too much for me to cover in one simple video. And so if you want like an expanded version of this where we go in depth on each of these things within a contract, you can check those out inside of my creator group. However, suffice it to say, even though I'm not a lawyer and I can't give you legal advice, my personal suggestion based on my experience would be read through the contract, make sure you understand it before you sign it. Okay? Just make sure you guys are on the same page, because most of the time, if a brand makes a mistake, it wasn't because they were trying to take advantage of you. Most of the time, it's because they're just really bad at copy pasting and they wrote the wrong thing, or they weren't paying attention, or perhaps they just don't know what they're doing either. And that happens a lot. We're all figuring this out as we go, including the brands and the brand managers. So that's what I would say when it comes to contracts. You want to outline that and get an agreement. And once you have all that, what you want next is to ask the brand for a creative brief. Now, what is a creative brief? It's basically a list of yeses and no's from the brand. And they're going to list things like, hey, this is what we really want to be represented by. These are our values. These are core statements. This is the stuff we want you to read about in the ad or the ad spot. This is the exact script. Make sure to mention these features. And then they'll give you a list of no's as well. Like, hey, we need to have this legal disclaimer. You have to make sure you don't feature children of a certain age in this video. You need to make sure that you do this and this and this. These are the things that the brand definitely does not want in their content. And this is a lesson you do not want to learn the hard way. You do not want to make the first draft of your content and then have the brand come back and say, nope, we can't use this at all. You have to reshoot the whole thing because we have this legal disclaimer and you didn't include it. All right? So make sure you ask them for this creative brief. You can look it over before you plan your content. Then the next stage is creating the content, right? No, still no, because what we want to do is the pre-production. We want to actually submit an outline of whatever it is that you're going to create for the brand. Now, once again, you might not be used to this as a creator where you just basically say, hey, I have an idea, and you go create it. You want to submit an outline to the brand, and you want to do it in as much detail as possible. You want to have visuals, you want to write exactly what's going to happen. If you can put an exact script, you put an exact script. You give them examples of what they can expect. Because the more clear you can be in this outline, the more detailed you can be, the more chances are a brand will come back at you and say, hey, we want these changes before you even have to make them. And then that way, you don't have to do this later in editing. You don't have to reshoot. It's going to be way easier for you, I promise. Make sure you submit an outline and you get it approved by the brand before you create the content. Then you're going to create your first draft. And you always want to look at it like a first draft, because the brand is going to have feedback. They're going to want changes. I can almost guarantee it. And so just expect it and you won't be frustrated. You need to build this into your pricing. Expect this with your time, that they're going to want to have a look before you post. Unless, the only caveat here is, if you're not getting paid, the brand is just sending you free product, you make the agreement, hey, I'll make a post, but I get to decide exactly what I post. It will be posted by this day, and I will let you preview it in advance so that you can veto it if you don't want to post it at all. Is that fair? So if you do that, and you've had that expectation from the start, then you're safe. You just want to make sure everything is on the same page and you over-communicate as much as possible. Eventually, you get the green light and they say, sweet, we're good to go live. Then you're going to post the content. And then you're done. No, there's one final stage. And this is maybe the most important stage in this entire process, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to publish and then we're going to re-pitch. So once you publish your content, you're going to want to gather data. You're going to look at the link clicks, you're going to look at the views, you're going to look at the comments, and you're going to screenshot them, and you're going to create a performance report. And this performance report is going to be your secret weapon when it comes to actually getting the brand to work with you again. One, because you're going to impress the socks off them if you actually follow up and you show them the metrics and the analytics and you make suggestions moving forward. 2, by doing this, it's your perfect opportunity to send them a second pitch, to build on the momentum that you've already created here. So inside of this performance report, you're going to do things like screenshotting the different comments on the video or on the piece of content. You're going to make sure that you include the metrics of how many views there were and how many likes there were and how many clicks there were, all that stuff you've been tracking. And then you're going to actually write some suggestions and some insights that you have as an expert on your audience. Hey, I noticed that we have a dip around here. I think next time we can maybe do some content around this. Hey, this really seemed to resonate with people. Maybe we could do this spin-off idea, right? And from there, you can make some suggestions. And so those suggestions to improve can include future content ideas, right? So here's content 1, content 2, content 3. Maybe we tackle this big objective next. And you do the exact same pitch as you did before. Here's the idea. Here's kind of the potential I see here. Here's why I see that potential. What do you think? What are your thoughts? And if you had success with this project, if it worked out, well then great. They're going to probably want to work with you again. If, however, the project kind of flops, the content didn't work out, don't be afraid of asking for feedback and providing this anyways, because brands are aware not every piece of content is going to work. And so you can communicate that as part of your actual analysis and performance report. Hey, we didn't get the views we expected. I'm thinking it's because this, this, and this. Why don't we try doing another piece of content? Maybe this is the idea. We'll make these changes. Thoughts? And by doing that, you can secure a potential future deal. And worst case scenario, you get feedback from the brand and you can learn how to do better next time. You're going to cultivate relationships that lead to more referrals, introductions to other brands. It's going to be way easier for you. It's kind of like you spend all this work getting the brand deal. You're pushing this boulder uphill. And after that, once you actually get to the other side, don't give up and walk away when you get to this stage right here. Don't give up when you get to this point here, because that's where all of the momentum, that's when things start to self-sustain. And as a creator, your work, your world, and your income can totally take off. And there's two things that happen with this report, right? The brand is either going to say yes or they're going to say no. And we're going to follow the exact same method as we followed before. If they say yes, well, great. We move on, we create the content. If they say no, well, then we do the same thing as before and we follow up. We F you. We send them follow-ups. We touch base. We say, hey, how about this content idea? Hey, you guys are killing it with that. We keep following up. We send new case studies. And regardless, we can take this piece of content that we just did. We put together our next piece of proof, our next case study, which we can then start pitching other brands with. So that's the roadmap from pitch to paycheck. And really, that's all you need to do. So now you know what it is that you need to do. But there's really two other key components here when it comes to succeeding with brand deals and as a creator that you need to unlock to really get the most out of this training. The first thing is you need to go and do the reps. You need to apply it. Now that you know what to do, you have to actually do it. Just like you need to go to the gym and do push-ups to get in shape. You're going to improve with practice. But the third and final thing that is so important is you need feedback. You need to actually be able to hear from people who are further ahead than you about what you're doing and maybe what you should tweak. And when you get stuck, to help you know what you should focus on next. And so if this training has been helpful, you want to get access to the pitch decks and to the campaign reports and to the contract examples and to the intros and to the ChatGPT templates and all these different tools to make this so much easier, then you should definitely check out my creator group. Inside, you're going to get in-depth training that is going to cover everything you need to know step by step by step in this process. You're also going to be able to ask questions. And that's so key, to be able to actually say, hey, I'm stuck here. Hey, what do you think of this? Hey, I need some feedback, and get that personalized insight and advice. So if you want to access everything, you want to get started today and skip years of effort and basically just avoid leaving thousands of dollars on the table as a creator, well then I will see you inside of there. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you got something out of it. Peace.